time with family, staying active, doing what you love. We understand how important it is to live your best life, even as times are changing. At Holzer, we strive to help every patient achieve their best health during every stage of life. With more options for care through in-person and virtual visits, we are dedicated to providing you with excellent care every time. Live your best life with Holzer.
Welcome to the Talk of the Town podcast. This is Josh Wellington, your Executive Director of the Galley County Chamber of Commerce, and joining me today from Cliff Stapleton's garage, Alex Stapleton. Alex, thanks for coming in.
No problem.
So let's talk first. If you're from Galley County and you've been here long, chances are someone in your family owns or has owned a car that they bought from a Stapleton. Give us a little bit of the family history, kind of the Stapleton name when it comes to auto repair, auto sales, the whole gamut.
I think it just kind of started with my grandpa started, I think, early 90s. He worked for the parts warehouse. That's where he started. So he's with cars early. Bought some cars, started selling some parts and putting some rebuilds together and moving them. And then Dad just slid into it. And I didn't want anything to do with it. I thought I was too smart to work on cars. So they sent me to school. I went to Toledo and came back and tried to help Dad build a business because I didn't think he'd be able to retire. So we came home, started this, and actually we're not really doing rebuilds now. We kind of moved out of that and just doing the collision side of things.
So when you and I first met, you were still down the south end of the county, out in the country, and then you opened a shop on Route 7. And now you've recently expanded even more. Tell folks about kind of the expansion that's going on and the progress that the shop's made recently.
Yeah, the last few years have been really good for us. That kind of comes with the expansion of the collision market, doing vehicles that way. We're moving up a River Road. Got a nice building up there. As soon as we can get all of our permits and stuff squared away, we're going to be ready to rock.
And so that building is what people would know as the old Fastenal building. So behind Napa on Eastern Avenue, across from B-Dubs. Yeah. So you and I talked before the podcast started, before we went live here, and we were talking a little bit about how the collision market works, and I think a lot of people may think, you're in an accident or you have a claim to file, and if your insurance company says, okay, take it into here and have it taken a look at, are people required to go to just that one place that their insurance company sends them, or do they have the ability to shop the marketplace and come to you or to any of the other shops and get a second opinion or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, so that's kind of a couple parts there. They used to, I don't know, I've not heard it as much recently, but they used to tell you have to get 2 estimates if you want to take it to the shop of your choice.
Right.
You don't have to do that. You don't have to go with a preferred network shop. Ohio's a right to repair state, so if you want to take it to your Uncle Kenny down the street, as long as you don't have a lien against it and Uncle Kenny's going to do an acceptable job in your eyes, you can take it wherever you want.
And your shop, you've got everything. You have state-of-the-art diagnostics when it comes to crash repair and things like that. How have you seen, just in the time that you've been kind of focusing on collision, helping your dad and establishing the growth of this business, how has the technology changed?
Oh, it's it's night and day. We've got 3-dimensional measuring equipment that I can completely blueprint and map out a vehicle from front end to back end and tell you if something's half a millimeter off. It's crazy night and day difference from now, even 5 years ago. Technology's come so far, and then if your vehicle has the adaptive cruise control or braking, we now have all the equipment to recalibrate and program the adaptive stuff on vehicles, the ADAS equipment, and they're moving computers now. They're not vehicles anymore.
Right. So outside of, and we'll get back into collision a little bit as we move on, but you don't just offer collision repair at Cliff Stapleton's Garage. Talk a little bit about kind of what else you guys do. Maybe you have a vehicle that you're restoring and you need a paint job, or some of the other things that you guys offer at Cliff Stapleton's Garage.
Sure. So the biggest thing, I'm a marketing background, and my biggest thing has always been value. I liked marketing because it was value-added service. I could do something for you, and it provides you immediate return, immediate value. So whenever we started structuring this business and expanding it and diving into different fields, we wanted to do the same. So we added the detailing side, which if you have a vehicle and you want to get maximum trade-in or resale value, we're adding value to your car, to your drive, to your life by keeping that car clean for you. So the detailing's been a huge growth in the last 8 to 10 months since we started it. We do auto glass, which is another, that's a big value added thing. And then the restoration side, that expands from anywhere. We've painted pool slides and cast iron furniture to classic cars. I mean, I think we have 6 or 7 restoration projects on the books right now, and those stories are always awesome. Hearing, it was my great grandpa's pickup, or I need to get this done because my life's changing, or this is my dream car. Those are really fun for us to do projects like that.
And you have a pet project going on right now, right?
A few of them.
It's blue and white. I think I've seen the pictures on Facebook.
The little Jeep, yeah.
The little Jeep. You guys have been hard at it for a while on that one.
Yeah, that one expanded into quite a bigger project than I thought it was going to be when he dropped it off. But yeah, that's actually a tribute car there.
Okay.
Painted to match the family's boat.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And people will, and it's not, I don't think it's marked with CSG markings, at least not prominently, but there's another little car that makes its way around town that was another special deal you guys did, right? With the little Tykes car.
Yeah. We just had that little Fiat. It was something that we had rebuilt. It wasn't worth a lot of money, and we couldn't sell it. Nobody wanted it. I couldn't give the thing away, so it was actually Derek's idea. He said, "Why don't we do something fun with it?" So we just brought it in. We tore it apart, and in like 2 days, we made it into a little Tykes car. We've actually got the stuff now. We're going to turbocharge it, and it's tore apart down there so that we can make it a little more fun.
That's a parade car, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So let's talk. You are seen across social media talking a lot about the way you guys do things at CSG when it comes to repairs and dealing with the issues that come with that. Not to say for better or for worse, I guess, either direction. But let's talk about how you maybe do things a little bit different than what has been done for years.
The insurance companies call that industry standard.
Right.
Is the way things have been done for years. We push back a little bit because at the end of the day, I think it's kind of crazy for me to sit back and repair a vehicle based on my experience when the manufacturer of the vehicle tells me exactly how to do it. And I think it's silly to, for me to say, oh, I know better than that guy, when he's an engineer that actually worked on the team that designed the vehicle. So whenever we do the repairs, we do them, we tear it down, we blueprint it out, we use any equipment we need to, whether it's the scanner to pre-scan or the 3D measuring system, and then we actually go down, and it takes anywhere from an hour to 6 hours, and we consult with the manufacturer, and we draw up a full game plan and blueprint the repairs on that project.
And that's not to say, I don't want it to sound, I guess I want to preface with I don't want it to sound like there's other places that are necessarily doing it a wrong way, or each individual repair is of its own situation, and in each place that it's done, whether it's your friend who has just been rebuilding one car at a time and kind of selling it as a side hustle, or if you're a full-time body shop, you do things. I don't want people to think that we're saying that other repair places, whether it be private or public, don't care about safety aspects and things like that. That's not what we're saying.
Sure.
It's just you have set, there is an acceptable way to do things, there's an unacceptable way to do things, and then there is a above the bar way to do things. Sure. And I think a lot of people in any type of business, you strive, you're first goal is to make sure everything is done acceptable, and secondly, to go above and beyond to kind of set yourself apart. Yeah. So, you guys kind of do the extra step, so to speak.
Yeah, so I guess we can back up and we can say that the problem I have with aftermarket parts, which is it's one of the big hit points when we start having this conversation, is that they're not crash tested the same way that OEM parts are. So unless that's, and it may be fine. You may hit a deer, you may take it to a different repair facility. They may put a Kappa, which is, certified aftermarket. It's supposed to be OE equivalent, front bumper reinforcement on your car. You may get another collision that may be performed beautifully, like it was an OEM one.
OEM stands for people who don't know.
Original equipment manufacturer. Okay. So that's, if you drive a GM, it would be a GM reinforcement. Gotcha. Yeah, sorry. So it may do what it's supposed to. It may be fine. But my concern is that the tests don't show that because there aren't tests. And then the secondary concern comes in that Kappa, which is the leading aftermarket certifier, saying that this is an OEM quality part, decertifies parts by the millions every year. I mean, all of this information is readily available. Actually, they kind of expect you to use a little number on the part and go on their website and make sure that part's still certified. And if it's not, I think they'll replace it with a new one. Right. But that's ridiculous.
And this is going to, I guess, to put it in a different connotation, maybe. It's if you were to go to the grocery on a bigger scale, but you're making a recipe and it calls for, 4 cups of Kraft cheddar cheese, and you, instead of buying the $4 bag, buy the $2 off-brand bag. It's probably going to do the job the same 99% of the time, or a percentage of the time. Sure. It's an acceptable replacement to maybe get from point A to point B, but to get the optimal return, it's the name brand way.
So that's
because it's proven.
The acceptable replacement's the only thing I had an issue with there, because the Kraft, if that was the example, as the OEM or original part, is proven to not cause cancer. Right. And you're going to be fine if you eat it, where the secondary solution may not cause cancer, but it's not tested that it's not going to cause cancer.
I'm with you. Yeah.
So I've got an issue with the word acceptable, because that's not our stance. It's not an acceptable repair practice. But, I mean, it could be. I mean, it could work fine. The tests just aren't there to say, yes, this part's going to function correctly. And actually, there are several tests out there that say the contrary, studies and some large lawsuits. And from a liability standpoint, which is, it all boils down to the customer safety. Right. When you're repairing vehicles, especially on heavier hits, I mean, liability-wise, we carry the liability on that repair. So we're gonna stick with the Kraft cheese.
Gotcha. I'm with you. Yeah. What made you decide that this is the way you guys were going to do it?
It was an education standpoint, which is why we stopped rebuilding so many cars. To make money when we were doing rebuilds, we were like willingly cutting a corner somewhere, but it was a trade-off that we were making the customer aware with, but it was just a trade-off I didn't always understand what I was doing when I was making it. The more consumer education you do, we go to SEMA every other year. You'll meet people that are in these accidents. We actually heard a family speak that was in one of the more well-known collision incidents in Texas with a little Honda Fit that was repaired incorrectly. It didn't look like a bad repair. It just didn't. They were hit and the car didn't behave like it was supposed to, and they were trapped and experienced some severe burns. So whenever you start having those conversations with people that lived it, it kind of opens your eyes and you realize, like, oh, maybe, I'm responsible for these people that I'm putting back out on the road. So that's where it came from, is, I wouldn't want to put my daughter, she's 3 years old. I wouldn't want to stick her in a car that's not going to be safe. So I don't want to stick someone else's 3-year-old in a car that's not going to be safe. And we actually total out like half the vehicles that hit our lot. So I don't even get paid for repairs on half the projects that get brought to me, because I'm so committed to this stance that I'd rather not do the work than have to sacrifice the repair. Right.
In the event, let's say a car is in a collision, they get it fixed with aftermarket parts. It goes on into another accident a year later. The insurance company approved the aftermarket parts. Mm-hmm. The repair shop followed instruction, did as they were told, put the aftermarket parts on. in the event that that accident is proven to show that the parts that were repaired previously are ultimately the cause of X injury, who holds that financial responsibility? Who gets sued?
The body shop, which was part of that issue of that lawsuit that I was referencing, is the body shop, because the insurance company will balk and say, well, you're the expert. I mean,
right.
At the end of the day, if we accept liability for the car and do the repair, then we take the expert position on that repair. So it's on us to make sure the repair is done correctly. It's not on the insurance company. They're not repairing cars.
Right. So even though it's their instruction that this is the way you need to do it, in essence, it still falls on your shoulders.
Yeah, because we're the ones that send out the door and say that's safe. So that's actually I don't. We write repair plans. I get customer approval, and I don't wait for the insurance company's input unless requested by the customer. Because at the end of the day, the chain of who owes who is I'm owed by the customer, and the customer is owed by the insurance company. So all I need to repair a vehicle is the customer's okay. You start getting into some gray area when the repairs are a lot of money, because at 75% in the state of Ohio of value, the insurance company has to total the car out. So if we start getting close to that line, I'll wait and we'll try to work it as like a 3-party conversation.
Right.
But for the most part, I don't wait for their okay. I repair vehicles based on the customer's okay, and then the insurance company will most generally follow up and take care of settling up with the customer.
You've talked about the changes that you've seen in the last 5 years. What do you see coming your way in the next 5 years?
A lot more money and equipment. All the technology, like going back to the ADAS equipment, the adaptive driving systems, all of that. I mean, these cars drive themselves on the road now. Last time we were in Vegas, we got picked up by an Uber that had no driver. So, I mean, that's where the world's going.
Right.
I mean, technology, more technology, more technology. We're working on getting our guys. We're going to try to get the Tesla certification. That's our next big thing. I know there's not an abundance of Teslas in this area,
but it's growing.
But I'm trying to get ahead of the EV curve, the electric vehicle curve, because I mean, GM's already made a commitment. Ford's already made a commitment. If we're not ready in 5 years, we'll be. I mean, right now we're kind of at the forefront of vehicle technology. We have all the equipment we need, but in 5 years we'll be dinosaurs if we don't actively take steps to get ahead of where things are going.
Years ago, a person that I worked for indirectly, I guess, or for a company, they were the COO, I think, and they were giving a speech at a staff meeting or something, and they said something, and this has been over 20 years ago. He said, every day that you accept the status quo, you fall a day farther behind. And I think that's what you're saying is, if we wait until the technology is required before we start to get it, then A, you're in line to get it, and B, then once you get it, you have to learn how to use it. Whereas now, if you are starting to get that stuff and getting the training and the knowledge that goes into these EV cars, and you and I talked, like I told you, I have a hybrid, and there's just not a lot of people with that expertise to know when something different goes wrong, what it's going to take to fix it.
Right.
So when you get into these Teslas or the Volt or the Ford Trail, the Lightning,
right.
It's great, and I love my car, and I love the gas mileage and the whole thing that comes with it. But if something goes wrong, I can't fix any of it.
No.
And 90% of the people in this area probably can't. Not because they don't have the skills, they just don't have the knowledge because it's too new of technology.
Yeah.
And to see that technology can just continue to change, even into the heavy truck, the Super Duties and the semis all going, UPS looking at electric vehicles and things like that. It's an ever-changing world, and I can't imagine the stuff and the research and things that you guys have to get through to.
Oh, it's very in-depth. It is. Yeah.
We've talked a lot about the history and some about the future, but one thing that is a strong point, I feel like, for CSG is your involvement in the community. You have helped us here at the Chamber of Commerce. If we need something, I know I can call you and say, hey, we're looking at doing this. You want to be involved, and you're always ready to jump in. Golf tournaments, you got guys at those. You put your own on, and then I see your guys in pictures from volleyball tournaments and anything like that. What kind of drives CSG in their commitment to the community?
Well, I think it's important to make this an area people want to live in. So whenever we see other people doing that, from a business standpoint, it indirectly helps us if we can draw more people to the area. But from a personal standpoint, if someone like Robbie Pugh is going to build that complex and he's going to put that kind of energy in it, we're going to be a part of it.
Right.
I mean, that's a great thing for the community. If the chamber's going to put the time and energy into making River Rec a bigger thing every year, then we're going to be involved if we can. We want to give back to the people that are giving back. That's important to me. It just builds a big cohesive community that we can all be proud to be a part of. We really wanted to try to get involved with First Friday this year. It just scheduling didn't work out, but we're hoping that we can get in with them a little bit earlier next year, and we can be a part of that process too. I mean, all of those things are huge for the community. We want to be a part.
And we appreciate the stuff that you guys do. And, we have some things that we're currently planning that for the coming year, hopefully we can get all of this pandemic stuff behind us and we can start to have our, different events throughout the year. We have some new and fun things that I think will really excite people. Some things that we're bringing back from last year, some that are brand new. But we want to have events to where people want to get involved, and they in turn can see what we're doing for the community. We are, as an organization, here to help our members. That's what this podcast is about. The Chamberopoly shirts, which will be out very soon. They're finishing up at the designer now. They'll be here just in time for good Christmas presents. If people haven't heard about those, there will be T-shirts with a Monopoly board on the back, and all the spaces are local chamber members, and CSG is one of those. We want to do fun things. We want to raise awareness for local business. We want to raise funds to help local businesses and at the same time stay sustainable as an organization. If somebody were to walk in our office right now, we were able to secure about 150 or 160 toys earlier this month. And we're hanging on to them until there's a toy drive. And then we're going to send those out to kids who may not have the Christmas that they deserve. And that's just something that, we want to do to help. And we can't do that without the support of our membership. If we were an organization of 10 members, we can do a whole lot less than we can do now at 225, 250, whatever it is. And it's not always about, what did it cost or things like it's getting things done that people need. I was in a meeting last night with an organization that does a Christmas event, and they were worried about wait times because last year 1,200 people came to this event, like 1,200 kids, and they drive through it. So there's a lot of time spent in the car getting through this line. It's Christmas on the Ridge, which is a joint effort between Rye Ridge Venue and Bob Evans Farm, and it's a big deal. So we were discussing last night, what can these kids do while they're waiting? And so we thought, well, what if they were handed a crayon and a colorable picture that they could somehow put their Christmas list on? And then we can collect those for Santa at the end. So that's something I can do in-house. So you go online, you print off a picture of Santa with a Christmas list, holding his list, and you take it back to the copier and you run off 1,500 copies of it. And now we have something for those kids to do. That's just our little way of hoping to help. Come Valentine's Day, we're going to do, again this year, the Valentine's Day card drive. Last year, a member brought it to our attention, hey, folks in the nursing homes and assisted livings haven't seen anybody in a year. Yeah. So we opened it up to the membership and said, hey, let's get some Valentine's Day cards and let's go send them out to the nursing homes. And we hand-delivered them to each of the 4 facilities in Gallia County. And for weeks, I got calls from family members saying, hey, my mom is in such and such place, and she doesn't remember a whole lot. She's battling Alzheimer's or whatever. But the first thing she wanted to talk about when I was able to talk to her on the phone was how they got these Valentine's Day cards. And they were all comparing them inside the facility, and they were so happy. So we're going to continue that this year, and we're going to add to it. I would love to get with the art teachers for the city and county schools and get the kids to make cards as an art project, and we'll collect those. and that just makes it more personal.
Sure.
So it's things like that, and we can't do that without the support of businesses like you and the many others that we have. It's a team effort, and River Rec was successful last year. I think everyone had a great time. I'll be honest with you, it was pressure.
Yeah.
I had 6 months, so I came in January, and January 4th is my first day, and July 4th we're putting on the biggest event we're going to do all year, and it was pressure. And I think it went as well as it could. Is there some things I would like to change? Absolutely. Is there some areas of growth? Absolutely. But again, we can't grow without the support of businesses like yours. And, I don't think people understand the cost that goes into putting on one of these festivals. I mean, we're looking at, if I had to guess, $40,000 to $50,000 this year that it'll cost to put on a 2-day festival. And that's not including the money that comes from the city of Gallup Police by them covering water, electric, police, fire, that kind of thing. So it's donations and it's support from businesses, and you guys are always right there at the forefront when it comes to that. I guess in closing, if you had to give advice to someone who was in an accident, or it could even be hail damage, whatever the case may be, if you had to give advice to a consumer right now based on, that's facing the decision of collision repair, what would it be?
Be wary of anyone that says it's going to be an easy process. Anybody that says, oh, this will be done, no problem, if they're going to waive your deductible, those are red flags. Because there's something, no business makes a decision to lose money on purpose. So if they're telling you it's going to be easy, or it's not going to cost you anything extra, or there's no chance of cost you anything extra, those are red flags, in my opinion, that you should probably, maybe not take it somewhere else, but consult with someone else.
Right. If someone has a repair or needs something, a service that you offer, what's a good way to get in touch?
You can call us, 740-578-9131. You can text us at the same number. My personal cell is 740-645-3274. If you have any questions or just want to know more about our process, or if I can't help you, I've got a list of people that I think do excellent work outside of us, and I'd be happy to direct you to them.
And if nothing else, call and give Jacob a hard time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, I'm sure he would love to hear from you.
I'm sure he would.
Alex, appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Learned a lot, and I think the listeners will have learned a lot as well. We, again, thank you for the support you give the Chamber of Commerce, and we look forward to years down the road seeing both our organization and your business grow as fast as possible.
Sounds great.
Until next week, we thank you for tuning in, and we invite you to listen every Sunday morning to 93.1 The Wolf during the 8 o'clock hour. Until next week, thanks again, and we'll see you then.